Insanity, insanity, whatever happened to humanity? Ooh.
Orphan, First Kill is a 2022 psychological horror film that serves a prequel to the 2009 film Orphan that is directed by William Blint Bell. After escaping from a psychiatric facility in Estonia, Esther travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. Yet an unexpected twist arises that puts her against a mother who will protect her family at all costs. I thought this movie was good. In fact, amazing. And shockingly so, because after me watching the previous film, Orphan, that movie had some controversy, and the controversy led to a lot of mixed reviews. Some people liked it, and some people hated it, mainly because of the pacing. The movie dragged due to the family's criminology and just the dialogue of the characters that we really didn't want to see the film about them. We wanted to see how everything fell in place with Esther. We did not mind the pacing of the characters, but it focused so much about them and Esther pulling certain pranks and tricks to the point where it felt a lot like Parent Trap, Home Alone, and a lot of films that replicated that up until the last point of the film where they showed a twist and they showed you how deadly Esther was by that last half of the film, which led to a big letdown to the first Orphan franchise. But what I like about this film the most is that it took everything that was wrong from the previous film and they fixed it. The film has done great with the pacing of the main character, Esther. I wanted to see what the film strength was, especially when it came to the lacking ability of the first one, and that was showing how ruthless Esther was when it came to her potential, her frustration, her anger, and just how she was lashing out on a lot of people. Not to spoil a lot, but they show that here. And what I like most about this film is that they don't want to just show you the aspect of how ruthless she was, but in a thrilling, chilling, horrific, and in a horror aspect. There were times where Esther's character would at the same time make me be afraid of her, make me be just not aware of how unpredictable she was, and at the same time I was frightened. I did not think this film would do this. I did not think this film would make me be afraid of a person impersonating as a young child other than Chucky. I thought that Chucky was the only film that made me be afraid of a human being impersonating as something so small and just being just so aggressive towards adults and just overpowering them. But Orphan shows this, and not just in a way that resembles child's play, but just in a way that it's creative in its own terminology of just her pulling certain wits when it comes to her intelligence, knowing certain things, being 3 steps ahead of people trying to expose her, and the kills too. The pacing of her character when it comes to the dialogue and chemistry was actually pretty good as well. Not just by the frustration and her just pulling certain kills and certain wits just so she can get away from certain obstacles that was preventing her for succeeding her task. But I'm going to have to say that Elizabeth Furman has done a very good job playing as Esther. In fact, in a way where I don't just only think that she can just do this role by herself, because I don't think anyone could have done a better job. But at the same time, I was skeptical, because by this film taking place before the 2009 film, and I was 19 years old when that film came out, and I'm 32 years old now, she still pulls off the imposing character. But not only that, but by this film being focused on her mainly, well, mostly, she has to pull away a lot. And again, not only that this film made me like her a lot, but it made me be more traumatized of her performance and just me believing her drive. I thought the pacing of her character was done perfectly in all aspects. When you watch this film, you're going to be satisfied when it comes to you being curious. Is this movie scary? Yes, this movie does have some great scares. This movie doesn't just focus on jump scares and just certain terminologies of just using elements that a lot of horror films are known by. What I like about this film when it focuses on horror and scares is just the way how they focus a lot of things towards the viewers, the people that's watching it. And it doesn't be quick. It stands there for a long time. When it comes to creepy factors, when it comes to factors that we may be traumatized to, or just by Esther herself staring uncomfortably towards the camera. The way how she stares at the screen fucked with me a lot, to the point where I just really felt uncomfortable. Just the way how she looks made me feel uneasy. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. You would not feel sorry if you want to watch this for a good scare, especially on a Friday night, which I kind of regret. Even the pacing of the family that takes care of Esther was done well too. Now, I was a little bit nervous of how they was going to play this whole thing out with the family. Was it going to be just like the first one, where we was focused too much of the family and their circumstances, to the point where we forget about Esther's character? But no, they gave us just enough as well for us to know enough about these characters so we could care about them just enough for things to get bad, or just when things begin to drive out to the point where we begin to care about these characters, and when things begin to fall apart. So yeah, I thought that the pacing for the side characters and the family that took care of Esther was done to the point where it did not drag at all. It wasn't like pushing it to the point where we had to forcibly begin to like these characters. No, this movie knew how to stay in its lane when it came to us knowing that this movie is about Esther and how everything got originated in the first place. Even in the beginning of the film does not drag at all when it came to the pacing. And I thought it was necessary. I thought it was well polished. And it gave me a good eye-opening gesture, especially for newcomers as well, of what to be aware of watching this film. The movie also has a twist, just like the first one. Now, by us knowing the first one and knowing how the twist is, the cat is kind of out of the bag now. So for those who still are not aware of the twist of the first one, or haven't even seen the first one, I'm not going to spoil it here, but let's just say right now that the twist on this one was just as polished and shocking. In fact, I may have to say the twist on this one was actually better. When I've noticed the twist on the first one, I was shocked, but at the same time, the ending, it happened in the ending half of the film, like the last half of it, right when Esther was beginning to show her true potential. So it was so much shocking things going on, to the point where we were shocked, but the movie ended while we were still shocked. Hence, Esther needed more runtime. But the twist in the execution was done perfectly on this film, to the point where when the twist happened, it gave us enough dialogue, and the movie lasted long enough for us to be used to the twist, while things were still thrown at us for us to be shocked. I thought it was I thought it was done perfectly, and I thought the twist was executed better, and the twist is better. Overall, the film was great. I thought the movie was good, fantastic. The ending of this film, though, was good. It was acceptable, but it dragged out a little bit longer than it should. In fact, the ending it had some cliche tropes. Some cliche tropes that a lot of horror and thriller films do. I kind of felt like by them using the creativity of Esther's character and the pacing of how she executed certain things, of her wit, and how she got over obstacles of this film, just so things played out the way she could have predicted when it came to people figuring out her identity, and and people knowing that she was lying. I felt like they should have used some of that creativity as well with the ending, because the ending felt like all the creativity and the cleverness was gone on the last half of the film. It was still there. There was some creativity there, but at the same time, it wasn't enough for me to still be on edge and for me to be on the hinges of this film as much as I did from the first and the middle of the film. Now, I will say this though, I do want more of this film. The movie ended for me wanting more, and I end up getting more by me knowing that this film is based on a prequel of the beginning Orphan. So I guess the joke is on me. But what I'm saying is that this film should have ended better than I anticipated. I'm gonna have to give Orphan First Kill a B. When it comes to movies like this, I don't just judge it because of what it's based on. I also look at it of what extra things has thrown into the table, especially the creativity of this film. I was surprised of just how much creativity was done and executed correctly on this film, which is the reason why a lot of people gave the first one so much hate, because the potential was there, the creativity was there, but it wasn't executed, which is why I love this film so much, is because not only that they have fixed it, but they have added gestures and they added a lot of things to this film to the point where I kind of wish that the first one could redeem itself for what this film has showed us. But at the same time, I felt like the last half of the film was giving us that eye-opening gesture of us being aware that the first film is on its way because of the way how it ended. Don't miss this film. This film was great. Please check this film out. Other than that, that's all I have to say for today. Please stay tuned for more of my movie reviews and videos headed your way. This is Hugo, your critic teacher, and you guys have a good day.